Sounds good. Okay. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Lauren.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. We've switched sides this time, so now we feel like we're
Just
on a brand new pod.
Whole new perspective on life facing this way.
Yes, yes. Hopefully will lead to even more interesting discussion this week.
Did our mics switch?
No.
This is still my mic.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Your golden mic.
The one I'm spitting into when talking.
Okay, so this week we only have two Bravo shows that we're going to talk about.
They're giving us like the summer drought on shows. We don't have a big lineup.
Well, what's going on right now? You said it's Real Housewives of New Jersey, Dubai, and I mean a new Below Deck Med started, but we don't have any of the like heavy hitter shows. Right. I think Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is coming.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, anyway, not we don't have to worry about that just quite yet.
We still got these to talk about.
So this week we're going to start with the Valley, and then we're going to move to Summer House.
Yes.
The reunion.
Oh, yeah.
So Valley, I was shocked of how much this episode was actually cut. It was like finale, but then really half of it was the pickup.
I noted that too. I know you watched the day after, so maybe the timing's different, but for me, it was only like 40 to 42 minutes was finale, and then the other 30 minutes, because they tacked on an extra 15, was picking back up the cameras. So I was like, man, they barely had enough for a full episode of just finale. They really filled it with the extra.
Right. So the finale is, we start with, the Valley's interesting because I've noticed they have so many couples that they have to do that kind of check-in scene with like so many different couples to like kind of reground to where everything's at. So it's not ever really that notable, but you do hear Luke and Kristen and the debrief that Kristen completely screwed up her like speaking and said the exact wrong thing about Michelle.
I wrote that down, and it's so hilarious when Kristen then admits, and the way she's like, I meant to say, and you're like, these mean very different things. So she goes, I accidentally said that Michelle had a boyfriend for a year. I meant to say she had a boyfriend a year ago.
And she says it like, oh, this is just classic Kristen. I screw up my words.
My little brain mixing that up.
I'm like, what? Kristen.
Those have two very different meanings.
Hugely so. You're saying it on national TV, and we've never known you to like mix up words. So the fact that that's trying to be her narrative where she's like, oh, just classic me. I'm mixing him up. It's like, okay.
Well, she's done it a few times this season, but I agree. Was she ever? I don't remember her doing that on Vanderpump.
No.
She always had the tea, and it was accurate.
Always. And even if it wasn't totally
Miami
accurate.
girl?
Yeah. She brought her in. I mean, even if it wasn't totally accurate, it was very much where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yes, she was on to something with her intel. Yes, but now she is just completely off on some of these.
Well, and you can see how she's going to now have a big apology, and then the apology will lead her to get back into some good graces, and therefore the show continues, right?
Exactly.
And then, so part of these debriefs, then we cut to Michelle and Jesse, and they're having what seems to be the final discussion on their marriage.
Yeah.
And he actually starts crying, which I thought really... I felt very bad for him in that moment.
Yeah.
That was the first time I've really been like, oh, God, Jesse, I just feel for you. This is not going well for you.
And he said something, I mean, I get it, the marriage is ending, but I was like, ooh, it was harsh in what he was implying, because he said to Michelle, I thought you had strong family values and you would do whatever it takes to make the marriage work.
And she said something back like, so you thought I would never leave? And it's like, oh my gosh, just end it. Put you both out of this misery that you're both in.
And then, I mean, jumping a little ahead, he said 3 days after cameras dropped, she ended it. So I think that was on her part, that had to have been a conscious effort. She did not want the actual convo on film. She was just making it very apparent it was coming, and then she just was like, I'm not doing that convo. She's new to reality TV, so good for her to not film that.
Right. I it's so interesting with her. Like, I don't really like her. I don't find her lovable at all.
No.
But America really is not breathing down her throat in the way that they're breathing down Wes's throat on Summer House, or Ariana and Lala, or, Jax's with Britney. It's so interesting to me that she has really flown under the radar with this.
Is it because no one knows who she is?
Right. Truly.
She's probably lucked out that she's not a household name yet when this is occurring. Because if she was a bigger name, I think she'd be getting a lot more heat.
Yeah. Plus, I think Jesse's kind of hard to deal
and
with.
like we talked about, he's
see.
like number one asshole in the group, so we also don't feel too bad for him.
Side note on Jesse, I saw this on Instagram, and it seems to be picking up flames, so I'm going to say it here. He actually hooked up with, do you remember Anna Nicole Smith?
Yeah.
And how she was that model that really went through all those weight fluctuations?
Yes, yeah.
He actually hooked up with her and had like a fling with her for a while.
Oh, my word. He did say he liked bigger women, remember?
Well, it was when she was thin, though, Jessica. And they did an ad together. I think it was for a diet
a commercial
pill.
or something. Because I can't get over Jessie being a model back in the day.
I know. I don't think Jessie's attractive enough to be a model. But they all, I mean, you're not out in L.A. to, do anything really but.
You're there to try to crack the entertainment industry.
Yeah. Okay, so then from debriefs, move into Jax's bar opening.
Yes.
So the big kind of drama at the Jax bar thing is that
we get the confrontation of
Janet and Zach.
Of Zach and Janet.
The confrontation starts with Janet is running around to everyone talking about the Zach situation, and then he kind of like rolls up to their little booth that they're sitting in and like plunks himself down.
Yeah.
I like that.
I loved it. Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, you know what? It was very much like, I am over you controlling the narrative. And he saw her.
Right.
And he even made a comment after they had the fight where he's like, oh, she's surrounded by her minions. Like she was gathering the troops to get her piece in there. And then Zach's like, no, I'm just going to plop myself right down. Stop. Let's not do this.
I think more reality TV shows need to have people who do that. Like, I think it would solve not a lot of the drama, but it would stop with the talking behind each other's backs and manipulating the narrative. So he rolls right up and sits down and immediately starts talking about kind of the crock of shit boots. The guy.
That guy has been named so many things now. And
pink
I love
boots,
it.
crock of shit boots.
Your pink booted friend, crock of shit boots.
And how that dude
Harriet the Spy.
Yes.
He's had so many names.
And how that dude was really stirring up drama between the two of them. And then he also speaks to, which I thought was good because we actually caught this, how she was on the phone with him, but Janet didn't tell Zach that there were other people listening to their conversation, which was also Pink Boots was there for that.
Yep. That's so true. When he goes, that is mean girl shit. Like, that's so true of, playing something on speaker and not telling that others are hearing that are part of said discussion too.
Yeah. And then he kind of stands up and starts yelling at her, I would say.
Yeah.
Which definitely. Jason kind of gets involved, right?
Yes.
Interesting. I noted on this show, right? Usually when we see men stepping in, right, to their wives' fights, it's never a good look for them. Mm-hmm. With Real Housewives, like, the husbands really make an effort to stay out of the wives' drama.
Yeah.
Because it's just never a good look. But this season is so interesting because it's Valley and it's guys and girls, and they're one big friend group.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's like you can't. I thought at first, like, ooh, Jason, step away, like, learn from your reality TV brothers and sisters that, like, don't get involved in the fight. Mm-hmm. But I guess he's defending Janet, and then, the reality is this is supposed to be his friend, too. It's not like it's.
Yeah. I had a different take, and maybe it's because it was to another guy that was fighting, so different optics than if it was Kristen and Jason kind of came in and yelled like that. But I was like, oh, I'm very attracted to Jason right now.
Interesting.
And it just, yet again, I'm sorry, it blows my mind that Jason, like, such a catch. I think he seems like such a good, normal guy. Mm-hmm. Great job, clearly intelligent. Okay, again, can you tell I like him? Just going on and on. How is someone like that with a messy woman like Janet. I just feel like a guy like that would see through that bullshit, and I'm just so surprised that they're together.
I agree. I mean, I agree though. I think Jason is Nia, Danny, most normal in the show. Jason's number 3.
Yeah.
On the list.
I'd put Jason above Danny.
Oh, really? But yeah, interesting.
And Nia, number 1. I think she's just the most normal and also not willing to give in to kind of probably what the producers want.
Right.
She literally will always be like, Danny, this is a conversation, not for the table. And they're like, oh, no, we need this convo for the table. Everyone needs to be involved in your marital convo.
And Jason's a lawyer. Got to keep that in mind. Like,
oh yeah,
I think that would be really interesting. Not many law firms I think would allow their lawyers to be on reality TV. So he probably does a pretty good job of balancing things and enough.
He will not be making a fool of himself.
No, right.
He is way too level-headed to do that.
So Janet fighting, Janet goes up and moves into the next booth, which I thought
with her minions
was such a reality TV move where you don't move far enough away to
and you're still talking about the situation and the person can hear you.
Yes, so funny. I also think that Brittany running around constantly trying to make it about like this is her bar opening and therefore no one should be arguing. I just thought, Brittany, you're trying to insert yourself into the finale in a way that I think is a little too forced.
Like, sorry, if that fight didn't occur, would we have seen the bar opening?
Yeah, right.
So, you can't have it both ways. If you want the publicity of the opening, there's going to be a little drama going down at it.
I think it's always someone's role at Real Housewives, Bravo parties, that it's their job to say, this is my night, and you're ruining my night.
Yeah.
That's always their job. There's always that role. And Brittany takes that with flying colors and runs around and completely doesn't have to be a part of any of this, but is standing right there to yell at her friends that they're ruining her night.
Yeah. I was going to say another example of someone who, for the most part, I feel like Brittany stays out of the fray and then is married to the messiest man of the group, like just very different personalities.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say married, separated from the most messy man.
The last couple things I'll say about the bar, the shots around the bar, it didn't look that full.
No.
It looked like...
And I imagine it was free.
Yeah, it looked like Friends and Family opening, but minus a few friends. Like it seemed like it was maybe on a good moment, 30 people in there.
That's true.
I didn't 15 of them was maybe the cast. Yeah.
Did you notice just Luke's hoodie?
Yeah.
He was so underdressed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Everybody was really, some of the guys are in like sport coats.
Right.
And he rocks up in, I think, an ugly James May hoodie.
Oh my God, it was James May.
The saying on it was the saying also on a shirt that Kristen was wearing at a previous point that I clocked. And it was something like, meet me at the top or see you at the top.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I saw that slogan before. Again, probably something Kristen ripped off from something else. Is just printing it on shirts and hoodies now.
One of the best lines from Luke the entire season was when somebody was trying to move him into a new room or get a drink at the bar, and he says, I need to keep Kristen in my eye line.
Oh, did Zach said that?
No, Luke said that.
Oh, Luke. I didn't
it might have been
catch that.
Well, it might have been in the extended Peacock, but somebody was trying to kind of get him to move to the bar, and he's like, no, dude, I got to keep Kristen in my eye line because he's like watching her move.
Keep her in sight.
That, I love that. That to me is such a partner-worthy statement because he knows he's got to keep track of her. He's got to make sure she doesn't do anything too weird. He
needs to also verify if she comes back with a story of what happened. He's like, I saw. That's not what happened.
Right.
But we didn't really get Kristen and Janet.
No.
Right? It was just Zach and Janet.
Yeah, right. And then did you hear Janet kind of say, be careful with your tone because I'm pregnant?
Yeah.
And so I was listening to this podcast and I think it was Nick Viles again. And Kristen was on it and they asked her like...
I've been seeing some of those clips.
Yeah. And they asked her like, what will Janet use next season now? Because she's not pregnant anymore. She's now had the kid. And Kristen said, it'll always be something. It will be,
I'm breastfeeding.
Yes, I have my child, and it's really stressful to have this child, so therefore you have to treat me nicer. I'm breastfeeding. There's always going to be some excuse of why Janet feels that she does not need to be like treated in X way.
And we got a bit more of Jasmine too, because she was really feeling torn in between the two, because as they kind of explained to us, it was always, I think they all lived in the same complex, Janet, Zach, Kristen, and Jasmine, and that's how they all became friends. So now Jasmine's like, I'm trying to be Switzerland in the middle, but that she was claiming, Janet, you're making me feel like I have to pick sides. And I thought such a quote to show kind of Janet's way of thinking and going through life. She's like, normally Jasmine and I have common enemies. I'm not used to being enemies with her. It's like, how old are you? Talking about common enemies? Like, it's so dramatic.
It's like Vanderpump, like 10 years ago when like Katie would require people to be, and
because they all hated Sheena for a bit.
Right.
And then, I know, I was literally like, I have no enemy. Like, I literally can only think back to this one landlord I hated one time that I'm like, I hate that man.
So funny.
So Lauren, if you're ever friends with my old landlord, we can't be friends.
So interesting note for next season, Jasmine's girlfriend will be a larger part. She'll have a role. But I think she gives off very like Luke energy. Like, I don't think she's going to be the hot tamale that gets added in the group. I think
just she'll be filming a bit more.
Yeah, chill Luke kind of type thing.
Okay.
So 6 months later, that is what I was expecting, by the way, when Summer House, quote unquote, picked up the cameras.
Yes. It made me happy we're getting it, and it also annoyed me because they dated it. March 2nd were when they did these scenes with Michelle and Jesse and Brittany and Jax. So you're telling me you can turn around production from March 2nd to early June. Why do you make us wait like 9 months when they film?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, this is proof that you can cut this all together much faster.
Right.
I get it. There's schedules. You're going to have premiere dates and whatever. But I'm like, the fact that how freaking long are we going to be waiting for Valley season 2? So long.
Yeah.
But it's because they haven't picked up cameras to start filming it even.
Right.
But it's like, can we pick up the pace? I can't go 9 months until season 2.
You forget. I mean, Valley was great and we like watching it, but I'm not craving it.
They need to stay top of mind.
Yeah,
you're going to lose like your active viewers.
I was shocked.
I mean, you won't lose me. I'll be I'll have a countdown when they announce the premiere date.
No matter what, right. I was shocked that we got a little of Jesse and Michelle, kind of that piece as well. I mean, I don't know anything about like splitting up kids and the time, but the 2 on, 2 off. Yeah. So 2 days on, 2 days off.
That's a lot of
logistics.
A lot of moving and shifting.
I was like, is that normal for a couple to do 2 days on, 2 days off?
No
That means
idea.
over the course of a week, you're switching Isabella around 3 different times?
Yeah, that's so much. Did you catch my biggest pet peeve? And I cannot believe he said it. Something Jesse said in one of his little things.
What?
He said he was blindsided.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. I even said on our last pod, that would be like if Jesse said he was blindsided when we were talking about Lindsay and Carl.
Right.
I was like, if Jesse says he's blindsided, does he know the definition of that word? He's admitting to how many of his friends that his marriage is about to end. And then she does it and you're blindsided.
Well, and I think, everybody has those relationships that we're now married, so this is no longer a thing, but when you're in your single world and you go back to when you get broken up with, and the person...
Oh, never. Just kidding.
And the person gives you all these signals that they're going to break up with you, and you, in the moment, sit there and you go, I'm shocked, but then you now... 2 or 3 years, 5 years later, you look back and go, no, there was 1,000 red flags.
Oh, he didn't want me to meet his family? I didn't think that
He didn't want me to buy that plane ticket to the wedding we were supposed to go to. That's what happened to me. Like, it's like, of course, that was him knowing he was going to break up.
That was the flag.
Now picture that, and then it's filmed. It's like, No. How dare you suggest you were blindsided?
Yeah.
Because all of those things were filmed.
Well, she did it 3 days after they finished.
Oh,
But
right.
still, all of his interviews, his live moments with the guys, how many times did he say, my marriage is in trouble?
Right.
So that equate, if the whole season Jessie had been going along like, I love my wife and Michelle and I are the best, I think we're gonna have our second kid soon, and then she did it 3 days after, yes, that is a blind side. The fact you were in therapy, you did ayahuasca to try and save your marriage, and you were shocked when she pulled the plug.
I also thought it was interesting that they're trying to separate their business out.
Yeah.
That seemed weird and just like messy.
Oh, yeah. It's, again, weren't we talking about that example with like Kristen Brittany and Jax, you know?
And they're not separating. They're continuing.
How do you split this bar if it's even making any money? Their podcast, they have to film it together. So they're like really stuck in together. But yeah, I think the real estate thing can be split. But when he was saying, Jessie was going, you need to write a list of all your active clients they're going to start fighting over. No, I brought that client. You know what I mean? And that's going to get real messy. Right. In that industry, it's all about the relationships. And they'll start arguing about who has the relationship with their multi-million-dollar buyers.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. I thought it was also a little annoying that they were yelling in front of Isabella.
Lauren, I wrote that. I said, I don't know if it was the editing, but when she was looking over, having her snack, it broke my heart. Oh my God, I'm like getting teary-eyed thinking about it. That killed me. I'm like, I am not even the child of divorce, and that was hitting me so hard. Yeah. Watching that, it was kind of like, what's mommy and daddy doing? You know, and then she sort of came in like, I need more barbecue sauce.
It's like move out of that room, move into a different room. I think Brittany and Jack seem to be a couple that would hide that a lot better from their kids. Wow. Jesse seems like he's somebody who kind of wants Isabella to see it so he can forever say to her, like, well, mommy was the one who, did this.
Which he even said at that one guys pool thing that I hated when he goes, oh, but then I'll have the pleasure of telling Isabella it was your mommy's fault for the next 30 years. I was like, you're such an asshole.
I mean, and then we moved to Brittany and Jax.
I know, we're getting like the split screens of the two separations.
So both women initiated the divorce, Michelle and Brittany. Yeah. Both women are moving out of the house.
Like one child. Yeah, both moving out. There's a lot of similarities.
I thought it was, I could go on and on about this, but I'll try and tailor my comments. So when Brittany says to Jax, because he's sitting there saying, well, you could have stayed in the house and lived in another bedroom and we would have raised Cruz together. And she lays it out so perfectly where she says, this is such a toxic situation. Why would I continue to sit in this? I would rather uproot myself and my son to go live in the Airbnb than continue to stay in the house with you. And clearly you were not going to leave. Who else should have moved out of a house that was living in a toxic situation?
Ariana. Yep. Well, I said, what is with these LA men that don't move out? And I wrote Sandoval, Jax, and Jessie are all in the house.
Right. But the same reality is like we have two women who know the situation's not right and they get the F out of the house. Yeah. And to me, if you rooted for Brittany at all in that scene, I'm getting my finger up and waving it around right now, but if you rooted for Brittany at all in that scene, you should have went harder in an Ariana that she should have gotten out of that house.
Yeah. Yes.
If you clapped at Brittany, which I clapped for Brittany, I said, yes, girl, yes, because she literally, it gave me goosebumps when she looked at the confessional camera shot and she's like, I don't need him anymore. I'm strong on my own. Yeah. She's like, I'm
making good money. Yep.
I was like, yes, girl, yes. And then the fact that she got out of the house, it was harder for her, Ariana, to get out of the house, but she did it. Mm-hmm. And you have no child and you couldn't get your nasty ass skewers and takeout into a garbage can, much less get yourself out of a house.
She has a child. She has a dog.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. No, good Lord. That is exactly what you need to do. And what does infuriate me, though, is I agree with the whoever ends it should be the one to get out. Carl got out of there. He called it off. But what's so annoying about the Michelle and Jessie and then Brittany and Jax, these two women were like driven to the brink, and it's just that the men wouldn't call it. Like, I guess Jax wouldn't call quits. So Brittany had to, and then that's annoying that she was the one that had to go.
Right. I guess it's true. In my mind, the man should always be the one that leaves the house. Yeah. But when the man shows signs of not getting his behind out, then you got to do it. Yeah. Then you have to do it. And Michelle did it, Brittany did it, and Ariana
has finally done it.
Right. But needed to buy an $8 million.
The problem is all of those men are man-childs.
Right.
So that's why they're not leaving.
Yes. I also think it's interesting that she really calls him out for being very camera-focused, very optically driven.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I was wondering when she was going in on him, when he said, I made an appointment. She's like, when? And I was like, why is she grilling him on this? And then it all made sense when she went, oh, yesterday? So when you knew the cameras were picking up, I mean, the fourth wall has just been demolished.
Oblivious.
And I love it when then we're getting, that's my thing where I always want to know the timestamp. Yeah. So I love that exact moment we were like, oh, yeah, Jax, you are so manipulative. Yeah. And then he admits never went to said appointment that he booked.
Well, and I felt like when she was saying, you're gonna text me all these mean messages right when I leave, when the cameras are not. Yeah. I felt like I saw this rage flicker across his face, Jessica, and I'm like, oh, he's definitely gonna do that. I love breaking the fourth wall. I think we need more of that because, people need to be called out. Like, if you're acting or doing something weird on camera or off camera that isn't authentic to what's going on camera, like, I love that.
But I laughed at Jax, like, in some of his interviews in this post-breakup world, and he's like, oh, the paparazzi are just everywhere. I'm like, do not act like you don't love it. Every interaction that they then cut to, he is talking up a storm. Like, he is not one of the big enough celebrities that is like heads down, ignore, never says a word. They're asking him questions, and then Brittany even goes, you lied. You said, we're working on it and living together. She goes, I'm in an Airbnb, so stop putting it out there that we're living together.
He's always been such a liar, though.
Such a liar.
So crazy.
And then did you see, I think it was a recent tweet that he goes, well, everyone should ask Brittany about who she's been dating since January.
Oh, who has she been?
No idea, but that came out, and I was like, I just don't believe a word he says. So if he wants to claim she's had some boyfriend since January, but yet this true break, but we did say it went through the holidays, and then it was like a new year.
It was January, yeah.
So whatever if she was starting to see someone. No idea, but again, Jax said it, so.
I think it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, so Jax clearly has that fling right now in Paige, who we've talked about before. Yeah. She has monster breast implants.
Size H.
And she's around. Like Kristen was saying on Nick Vile's podcast that they went to Ariana's brother's birthday at Jax's bar. Oh, okay. And she was there. This Paige was there. She was full on in the group in the background. I think it's the weirdest thing ever, Jessica, when you start to date someone who's going through a divorce and kind of openly says, I think Jax would get back together with Brittany if Brittany came around and decided that was what made sense to her. I don't know how you function as the girlfriend of somebody who's doing that.
I mean, you never want to be the first one. There's a term for it, the rebound.
Yeah, like, right.
Who wants to be the first one in? And maybe fine to be the first one in if the person who's going through it actually takes a big long break.
Right.
Like Dan. I would not want to be Dan with Ariana. He is the rebound. He's lasting a long time. Some rebounds are like a month.
Right.
But you just don't want to be that first one back in. They are so still conflicted about their feelings. And
it's playing out in the news. Yeah. And I think if Brittany turned around tomorrow and said, Jax, let's get back together, he would do it instantly.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Opportunistic of the people that are instantly willing to date a name in the industry. I think this Paige Woolen or whatever, she knows her name will be out there if she's spotted with Jax because he's going through a public separation.
Apparently she tried to do a publicity stunt where she picked up Jax for a date, but it was in a limo, like a 1990s prom style limo.
Stop.
And it was the weirdest ploy for publicity because I don't think anything happened beyond that other than she just picked him up in a limo. and they went on their date in that.
Lauren, the face I'm making. It's like, ew, I hate that. It's so cringy and stupid.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I'm just so glad I do not have the gene that, like, I want to be famous. Because these people go to great lengths and are so willing to embarrass themselves.
Right.
Lauren and I are doing this for the love of these shows. We do not want to be famous podcasters.
Although I wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't hate it if I could also just stop working and do this full time.
Anything else? I mean, we really dissected the Valley. Anything else from the Valley? Oh, the one thing I'll say is I think I'm really happy when my thoughts align with America's thoughts.
Yes.
They didn't on Ariana.
Yeah.
And that kind of really drove me nuts. So Kristen was saying that Janet is like doing 17 podcasts a week right now.
I know what you're about to say. Yep.
And she is basically realizing that she did not come off the way she thought she was going to come off during the entire season.
Yeah.
So she's trying to do this somewhat of a redemption arc, podcasting, and telling people like what really went on.
Yeah.
Which I think validates some of what we thought, Jessica, where she has now all of these excuses of why this happened or why that happened.
I'm going to spin it so I don't look as horrible. Clearly that didn't land with the viewers and I look bad. So I'm going to say it was this, even though we're all completely right about what she did.
Which I think that's really interesting. I'm so happy that has solidified itself, that she's just more of the villain than anyone else.
I saw a funny tweet and someone only like a week ago wrote, I know I'm late to the game. I just started watching The Valley on episode 2. I really like Janet. And the comments, just you wait. You won't after the next episode. Like everyone going, and the person's like, whoa, did I just like read her wrong? And it was like, no, she was kind of fine in the beginning. It's like, no, just wait till you see. She's very conniving.
Yeah, everyone catches it. Manipulative.
Yeah.
Anything else for you on Valley?
No, I just can't believe. I mean, hey, I love it that we got an extended final episode, but God, did they deserve a reunion? Sorry, one-parter. Just give me a one-parter.
In the Watch What Happens Live clubhouse, where they're all smushed in, it's clearly not the right, scene. We've seen that
all
before.
The men can be one chair up behind their wives,
Yes.
It can be like the New Jersey when they would come in and the men always sit behind the couch.
It's not truly well done, but we just need something. We need some little snidbit to do it.
And that's the part of the problem. I saw someone saying that the Valley needs to be careful because they're doing so much on podcasts right now, and it's because they all don't feel like they got to speak their piece. I think the reunion negates that feeling. You kind of like clear the air and get it out there, and they're all like doing these campaigns to like promote themselves in the meantime. Right.
I totally agree. Okay, now we're going to move into Summer House.
Yes.
So Summer House is on part 1 of its reunion. I thought the outfits were really, really good. Probably the best this cast has ever looked.
I mean, all the memes, everyone's saying Danielle was left out of the group chat. Was it a pure coincidence that every girl, Amanda was not showing midriff, but Lindsay, Paige, Sierra, and Gabby, all like abs on display. Mm-hmm. Was that just a coincidence? Their outfits were so cohesive. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get over how, no one was wearing a print. Like, they all, maybe they just have watched and they are like fashion girlies that they knew that the solid color does better.
I do think they get some direction of the dress code.
To be like muted neutrals or whatever.
Because I think, usually the reunions, they all look somewhat aligned. But, this was like something almost out of like a girl band video where it's just like they all had like flowy.
A version of,
Sierra looked like so good.
Revenge outfit.
Oh my gosh.
And the walk. I mean, they had to have staged it that she was last to walk out so that West was drooling as she walked by.
And I love it. Andy just completely feeds into all of it where he says, "Hi, Naomi."
Yeah. Yeah, she really did look like Naomi Campbell when you said that. I was like, oh, I love that.
Can we talk about Carl's teeth? Like, why are they so white? What has happened? The veneers look horrible.
Oh my God. I don't know. I think did you see the goldfish ad and people have been zooming in on his like smile of him holding up? Okay. I think he's lost like even more weight in his face.
Right.
And he's always had big ears, but the ears are like popping even more. And then the teeth, I think, have gotten bigger and whiter. He's looking very clownish, and it's like getting a little scary. Like, he's, for the most part, I think, an attractive guy, but you normally don't say someone needs to gain weight. I think he would do better with 5 pounds.
Agreed.
His face is gaunt.
His neck also was like looking very, like you could see a lot of what was going on in Carl's neck.
Tendons.
Yes, Jessica. I'm like, dang, he's gotten so thin. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I get it. He's sober. I think he's so into fitness, and maybe the breakup was stressful too. I mean, I guess men can have the breakup weight loss too.
Right. I think Andy's so funny with these reunions I've noticed it with Southern Charm as well as this.
Yes, the younger crowd. He's a little looser, makes his jokes.
Yes, has crushes on all of the guys. You can tell. Every single guy he definitely would date. He loves a good tall gentleman that's a little bit more of an East Coast. Yeah. I've noticed it for the Summer House as well as Southern Charm. None of the Real Housewives husbands get the same reception from Andy that the young docuseries, like, oh my gosh, I love it. He like lights up.
He loves being around young, hot people. Andy, be careful, that HR talking. Remember, hands off. But yeah, Andy, I think, basically starts it with, on behalf of America, I'm so glad you aren't getting married.
Yes, right.
He just has those goofier comments that he knows the younger casts can handle and find funny. Okay, so then we have also the whole Danielle being the leak from Amanda's wedding about Craig. So then we have that, and then that beef between Danielle and Lindsay about it in a way. But I saw someone say this, and I do agree. Love Paige, but they were like, Paige doesn't react in the show and saves a lot of the heat for the reunion. That was like Danielle's whole thing. Danielle wasn't even aware the convo happened between Lindsay and Paige in the moment, and Paige never confronted Danielle in the show.
But now is mad
and
about
now
it.
We're talking so many months later, after watching it, it's like, are you now just getting more heated or remembered? Because she even was like, oh, Danielle was the leak.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's where then, Paige, you need to go confront Danielle, who is in the frickin' house a few rooms away and just doesn't know this convo has happened.
Right.
That's where I agree. She then brings it all for the reunion, and that annoys me. I need the drama in the moment it happened.
Yeah, I think Paige has historically always done that too.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what they're saying. That people are clocking that she's been doing that for a few seasons. So I hope she's living in the comments, as they say, and noticing that if she's on this summer, which I imagine she will be, she needs to step it up and do more in the moment reactions.
Right. And she's smart. You can tell. I think there's a certain group of reality TV stars that are smarter than the average.
Yeah.
Paige is one of them.
Yeah.
And Paige is smart. Like, you know, she clearly plans very methodically kind of how she's going to say and what she's going to do at the reunions.
Yeah.
And it's like, Paige, you're smart enough to where you can, during the show, have a bit more like straightforward confrontation.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait to have like such like epic like mic drops in the reunion.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like she wants to better script her reaction, so she isn't willing to do it live. But that we're noticing.
Yeah,
so.
It's exactly. You know what's interesting about the Carl thing too? I mean, I'm sorry, Craig getting kicked out of the wedding.
Yeah,
like that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
like everyone is sitting there saying how, oh, Jessica, you wrote the story, or I wrote the story, or my mom wrote the story, and it's like, no one's just talking about the pure fact that he got so drunk they had to kick him out of a wedding.
That Paige was a bridesmaid at. How
and that's her boyfriend.
Yeah. It's
not like he's some single guy like Shep.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. That he was there with
her.
Yeah.
I didn't read the article. I wish I would have.
No,
because,
I didn't either.
But the implication is he got so unruly.
I read something that he tried to fight, and it said the bride's brother, so Amanda's brother.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And okay, can we just talk about how crazy? First of all, the leak was to Dumois. Love that account. I mean, Danielle is putting herself in like blacklist category. if you are on these shows and you are a known source and leak, you're about to be cut out.
Yeah.
If I was in that freaking group, I wouldn't trust Danielle at anything.
And then her reaction to selling the story was, it was just so juicy.
It was so juicy. Exactly. She's a fan. I mean,
my God.
I agree it's juicy, as we've just discussed that it's a great story.
Yeah.
And the fans want to know. But yeah, Danielle, like, you're a guest at a wedding of someone you're allegedly friends. You know, it's Kyle and Amanda. It's Summer
Right.
House. It's like the Summer House wedding, which was filmed. I remember they showed, decent amount of clips of it. Clearly the cameras went down before the true debauchery started.
I also think too, if you're giving the story to Dumois, I don't think you get paid for that.
No, those are just tips.
It's
You
like
just
at that point,
submit.
I would want to get paid. If I'm going to sell
Yeah.
the story and get called out on it later, I would want $5,000 for that. I'm sorry, I would.
Yeah.
You're not going to put your neck on the line just so you can anonymously post it on Dumois.
I think that just shows how much Danielle does not like Paige. She wanted that out there to make them look bad.
Yeah.
She cared that much to make them look bad to the public. Mm-hmm. And not make them look bad. He did do it, but we would have never known unless someone at the wedding leaked it.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, no, no freaking chance Danielle's on this next season. Not because of that, just because she's been boring as hell. But, like, good.
Right. She'll show up at a party or two,
She'll be fully dating Balloon guy. She comes to help him set up.
As like Balloon Danielle.
That would be amazing.
Oh my God.
And can we talk about Andy, who thinks Carl was afraid of Lindsay? And Carl raises his hand.
But after he looks around.
And everyone's hand is up.
And
that was so funny.
I think in that moment he's scared not to raise his hand. It's just like so meta. It's like,
he's
Carl.
still scared.
Do you want to move on to Sierra and Wes piece?
Yes.
So I just want to say at the top that I don't think Wes should be canceled for this. I mean, America does such extremes with everybody. How much they stand Ariana, how much they hated Sandoval. And right now, I feel like people are canceling him. And I'm like, this is not somebody that we need to go this hard at.
No, agree.
This was a situationship gone wrong.
I know.
If you're going to cancel Wes, you should cancel Shep. You should cancel Austin. You should cancel Craig. Like, they've all done far more debaucherous things than this Wes.
Right.
This is his first season.
Yeah.
Like, give him a break.
Yeah. And I agree, he came across horrible. Like, I was trying to think of when have we had such a 180 on being such a fan favorite, and then the fall from grace in the reunion. Yeah. Agree, but it is not cancelable.
No, I agree.
I agree. He's got to be. And as I told you, Andy loves, like, I think the Wes Jesse bromance. Yeah. They're for sure going to be back. So, like, we don't have to worry about the producers going, oh, gosh, I don't think we should have West because of this. They're like, oh, we're having West.
Yeah, because he's coming back. So just hold your horses, all the ladies out there who are saying it. And let's be real. It was a situationship. We've all been in those. And, like, they always end poorly, Jessica. Yeah. It was never... great.
Okay, but it was a little more than a situationship. She went to his family farm.
Yeah,
they went to weddings as +1. That's more than just.
But I feel like this man throughout the entire season had so many red flags that he was non-committing.
Yes,
I mean,
and she was even picking them all up.
Yeah, she was.
So I understand. Then it seems like cameras went down and they had a lot more convos and were much more in agreement. So I agree. He blindsided her.
Let's just keep that word going.
Let's just use that word.
I think it's time for some merch on that.
Blindsided.
Yes.
There's a really good Kelsey Ballerini song where it was about her divorce. And she literally, I guess it was because her ex-husband was this other country singer. Literally, she's clearly the bigger star. I can't even remember his name. But she has a whole song of, were you blindsided or were you just blind? Oh. And I'm like, I love that line because it's so true. And her whole song is about, we were in therapy. We weren't agreeing about building a family. So she's like, really? Were you blindsided or were you just blind?
Yeah.
So we need to ask all the Bravo Lebs that question.
I think that Wes's major piece that honestly he should have had some media training on. I don't think he's been media trained.
No.
Was his answer to Andy probing him on like, so what happened?
Yeah.
Jessica, to this day, if somebody had a gun to my head and said, what did Wes say? I would say, I don't know. Like babble. Like babble
it
talk.
Was babbling. And I loved because when Andy asked that and he was kind of looking between the two of them, Sierra's like, you need to ask him. Like, it was very much like, he's the problem. Go over to that side of the couch.
But what was the answer? Like,
I literally wrote, so West can't commit to Sierra for show-related reasons, 2 question marks. So I agree with you. Not clear. It just sounded like he kind of admitted too that it was like an ego thing, that he hated that all the articles coming out were saying Sierra Miller is dating newbie West. And he's like, I was always this afterthought. And it's like, of course you are. She's been on TV for a few years. Why do you think you would be the first name listed?
Yeah.
You know, it was just so stupid that that's what bothered him.
So he didn't like that narrative. He clearly wanted to keep it open in case somebody DM'd him, slid into his DMs that he maybe thought.
Yeah.
And then he was also going to parties and maybe being too flirty with...
Yeah, he was worried about if he was out, because we've discussed how West is just a naturally super flirty guy. He was kind of like, but how's it gonna look? And like, our article's gonna be written. It's like, well, yeah, you need to tone that down if you're in a relationship. You don't get to act like single West and how you chat to the opposite sex at a bar.
Right.
You do have to change if you're in a relationship because you want to be respectful to your partner.
Right. But
and
also,
he just wasn't willing to.
I think fans saw that he was fully dating her. That's where you would have to be a real homewrecker to come up to him and say, I know you're dating Sierra. I've literally watched it for the last, however many episodes.
Well, that's what I think Amanda goes, our fans are actually like respectful. I'm like, but are they? Who did Kyle cheat on you with when you guys were on the show? So was that woman respectful of the relationship? I'm like, oh, whatever. No, there are plenty of fans who also would just like their little 15 minutes to claim, oh, I was the one that hooked up with him at a thing. And
I think Wes needs to get on the phone with Austin and Shep and quickly figure out how to handle these situations moving forward. I don't think he's going to commit anytime soon. I think he's coming back on Summer House. I think this is going to keep happening for him.
Yeah.
And he is a classic
Peter Pan
syndrome, 100%.
Yeah, he could get some good training from those Southern Charm boys. I mean, Craig is a recovering one. He's so far doing well and seems to really want marriage. And now, ironically, this is his karma, dating a woman who is not willing to get 100%. Married at the moment. Yes. But no, agreed, because those other two have just survived season after season of being F-boys.
And they're still lovable.
And they're still lovable. That's so true. So West, he can have a redemption arc next season.
Okay.
He's still a cutie, whatever.
The other thing I thought that was kind of notable was that they all hated Jesse when he first came in. The cast kind of hated him.
Oh, yeah, and he kind of admitted he just came in, like, got real drunk and was being an a-hole and, like, didn't remember saying those really corny, cheesy things to Paige.
Yeah. So one note I saw on a podcast called Turtle Time Pod.
Oh, great Ramona reference there.
Ramona Singer. Is that Wes and Lindsay originally, she proposed doing a podcast with Wes because he came from Bleacher Report, which is sports.
Oh, yeah.
And the podcast was going to be a sports-focused podcast that was like girls and girls and guys and trying to like talk about sports between the two of them.
Okay.
And she apparently wrote like this contract on this napkin and made him sign it at this bar. And then he got fired from Bleacher Report and texted her and said, hey, all systems go on that podcast considering that, I've just been fired. And then she went to the show in that moment and said, you should start talking to Wes. So that was, I don't know if they were friends massively before that, but there was this kind of milestone moment.
So the whole podcast thing was truly before he was even cast.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was like, as I said, the origin story of their friendship, but he was on this podcast and he was talking about it, that was really like a big moment for their friendship, was that she was going to go into this sports podcast with him. I don't see Lindsay doing that. I don't think that's on brand for her. I don't ever want to listen to Lindsay talk about sports. No. So I think it's for the best that didn't work out.
Agree. And we got West on Summer House out of it, so we'll take it. Yeah, any predictions for cast?
I think, so I actually had the change of heart, Jessica, on what we've thought thus far. I think they're all coming back. I think Lindsay's already dating someone new.
Yeah.
And Carl's coming back. I mean, Danielle is coming back as friend of, for sure.
Okay, I was going to
Gabby's coming back as friend of.
Yeah.
But
so we're going to have some new girls.
Lindsay's coming back, and she's coming back with a boyfriend. So I think that season is going to remain intact. Carl's going to come back and have small little tension, problematic moments with Lindsay, but I think they're going to, for the most part, kind of stay away from each other.
And then we're going to watch him sober date.
Yeah. I think this is, the fact that Lindsay was the victim and she's already moved on. I mean, Ariana did it too, and we all know that she hasn't. But Lindsay, first of all, I'm dying to know who she's dating. But second of all, I think she's coming back. She's now been dating this person since January.
Yeah.
And if they haven't broken up yet.
Lauren, this is a perfect segue since we're a show short this week. We were going to do some Bravo headlines. It doesn't appear you've heard the rumor about Lindsay.
Oh, that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes, I did hear that.
So I'm super confused. So is it with the boyfriend? Because we also know she did like egg freezing. Mm-hmm. So is she going the route of so many of like the Lalas doing it on her own with donor sperm and stuff? Or is this a natural with her boyfriend pregnancy?
I think this is a Luke and Kristen type thing where they met. It's a Fast and Furious thing. I think that if she gets pregnant now, she's keeping it, and I think this is what happened. I do not see her going.
And she did it intentionally.
Yes.
Was the guy aware that they were actively trying is my question.
I don't know if that was the case, but I do not think they were using any protection.
Yeah. She and Carl are currently in Italy for Andrea's wedding.
Oh, interesting. And he's marrying Lexi?
Yes.
Good for him.
Yeah, the one he was like all heartbroken about.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Cute. I love him. He just seems like such a nice guy.
Yeah. Not good TV, but a nice guy.
Agreed. A little boring.
And then, so the reason I heard Lindsay was pregnant was because she was actually going to be on the show called Traitors.
Yes.
Which, have you watched that show?
Yes, that's also on my list to talk about for Bravo in the News, because there's some good names on the Traitors cast.
All right, so why don't you start with that, and then I'll tell how this connects back to Lindsay's pregnancy.
Yes, I do know that. Oh, sorry, just a photo of me in a dress I was trying on earlier. Okay, so the cast that has been announced that are Bravo related, because we don't care about the other people. Chanel Ayan, Real Housewives of Dubai, so not as well of a known name. Sierra Miller, Summer House. Dolores Catania from New Jersey. Dorinda Medley from, well, it says New York, but technically she's not on it anymore.
Fired.
Robin Dixon from Potomac, also just got fired from Potomac. And we have frickin' Tom Sandoval.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love it, though. Love it.
Those are the Bravos. Some honorable mentions. Wells Adams from Bachelor.
Ooh.
I love him. Married to Sarah Hyland. He'll be interesting on there. Nikki Garcia. I kind of watched she's one of the wrestling. She was from the Bella twins. She's an identical twin sister. And then Gabby. She was a Bachelorette.
Well, so if you don't watch Traitors, it's a really interesting show. Not interesting, like the premise is not super interesting. But basically, there's a house full of people. There's 3 to 4 traitors. They don't know who the traitors are. They're trying to figure out who the traitors are, right? And the traitors each week are, quote unquote, killing people off.
Yes.
And you're trying to, before you get killed, figure out who the traitor is. It's a really interesting show that has recently become quite popular. And it's interesting to me because all these celebrities are trying to get on it.
Yeah.
So it's pulling pretty big names
yeah.
from all over reality TV.
Yeah.
And I think because it's maybe a slightly different audience, people are getting big. Like, it's kind of a good spike in everyone's, public persona.
And what's interesting, did you watch season 1 of it? What they changed the format, because season 1 was, I don't know if the numbers were exactly 10 and 10, but it was around, it started with 20 or the low 20s. 10 were normal people.
Right.
And 10 were then Bravo or in the Survivor world or the Big Brother world, some kind of reality. Season 2, all household names. So, like you said, it's a hot ticket, and I don't think they're ever going to go back to normal people. Like, you and I cannot apply, to be honest.
So, Phaedra last season from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Phaedra has not been really in reality TV for a while, and she
Married to Med.
Oh, she was on that. Okay, not really on the main bench, right? And so she went on the Traders, and she had such a good season.
Yeah,
it was her boost back into cultural fandom. And the other person that had a really good season was MJ, who's from Real. Shahs of Sunset. Again, that show got canceled. No one would have really thought MJ would have been a standout. But she just had such a weird haircut and such an odd ensemble the entire season.
It's that one meme of her in that outfit looking dumbfounded. And it is used in
everywhere.
So many funny places.
And so it's really a good show that if you're trying to rehab an image or get back out there, I feel like people are flocking to it.
Sandoval. Yeah.
100%. Now, listen, I heard that Lindsay was pregnant because she was apparently trying to get on the Trader show.
Yeah.
And I think actually started filming with them. Mm-hmm. And then Dorinda Medley from Real Housewives of New York spilled the fact that Lindsay was pregnant to the producers.
Because allegedly you cannot do it because there are physical challenges and stuff, and it would just be too much of a liability.
And the producers didn't want to take on that liability, so they basically edit out her out of the entire season, and they bring in Sierra as her backup.
Well, maybe they didn't get too far into filming, because how would Sierra make a super, knowing the show, how would Sierra come in? I don't think they got late.
I don't think they got far into filming.
But crazy if that's true.
Yeah. Isn't that so crazy? What was your tip on Lindsay being pregnant?
I saw it, some Bravo account on Twitter revealed like a blind item or whatever. It was not Dumois. It was a different account was saying it. And then people were commenting. I heard the whole Dorinda. They're like, allegedly Dorinda outed her. And then everyone was going, that makes so much sense, because I was kind of shocked when I saw it was Sierra. And Lindsay would make a lot more sense. Like, she's having her moment like a la Ariana getting Love Island hosting, like this was Lindsay's time to kind of get these shows. So God, if that's craziness, if that's all true.
But anyway, plug for the Traders. We think it's worth it. It's a feel-good show that really clashes together all these reality TV stars. Very actually little drama, like in the toxic way. It's just more kind of feel good.
It's alliances.
Yes.
It's so much more of a mind game.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Right.
And watch it with Vince. It's you can kind of get, both sexes into it. I normally hate competition shows. So I will say I am obsessed with Traders.
Yeah.
Love it.
Do you want to say any of the other headlines before we go to our other segments?
I feel like we touched on it, but New Jersey, no reunion. Crazy. I think we're going to get a total rehab. It's going to go the way of New York, I think. And I'm for it. I'm over the Teresa and the Melissa feud. Like, we're just so done with it. And it's just a note to all other reality people. Again, Kristen and Janet, the icing out. Teresa and Melissa, I've been watching the first few episodes of this new season. They're so done with arguing, which, yes, I was bored of, and it was the same fight over and over, but they'd actually have the fight. They now just don't speak to each other.
Yeah.
So they will be at a brunch, and there'll be a table of 8 women, and 2 of them won't even look at each other. And you're not even getting drama out of it because they won't speak to each other.
Right.
That does not make a show. So it's been the kiss of death. Jersey goes dark too. They dig up stuff on each other that has become too conniving behind the scenes.
It's like
that I just
litigious. It's like private investigators.
Yes, and that's just insanity. I guess maybe it goes back to their like mafia roots with like they all try to act so tough and I'm Italian and like you don't go against the family. Like they're all like willing to go real low to defend their honor and stuff.
Right.
But it's not. I think we need younger and a totally new cast.
Yeah, agreed.
To revamp it.
Agreed. I think that you've seen this with just a lot of these shows. They've been on for so long that they have to start to evolve, and when
Yeah.
you can't evolve, a la, you know, or Teresa and Melissa, it's like you're done.
Yeah,
you're dead in the water.
And New Jersey has seen a really consistent cast similar to Potomac, and Potomac just had some big names fired, like Robin's gone.
Do you want to move into what are the kids talking about these days?
What are they doing these days? Okay, this will be a fun one, Lauren. It's more interactive.
Okay.
So this is from a survey that was done by intelligent.com. It was just done in December of 23, so recent. And it was asking, small sample size, but still some of these results are really funny, 800 employers. And they were asked, during job interviews, employers say that recent college graduates have ... And there are 4. There are 6 different things on this list that make up 100%. So there's then percentages. So Lauren, guess some things that recent college grads would do. It can be related to their appearance, things they're asking, how they're behaving in a job interview.
100% of college grads have this.
This is the 6 different categories will add up to. They'll be X% did this percent did this.
I'm going to say facial piercing.
I'll put that in a ding, ding, ding for dressed inappropriately.
Yes.
So
I was going to say colored hair, tattoos.
Yes. So just
not
the proper attire for an interview.
Have a side hustle or social media presence.
No, surprisingly, that's not on here.
That Gen Z does not want to work in the office.
I'm surprised that isn't on there, but related to remote, I guess some of these interviews were remote. They refused to turn their camera on during a remote interview.
Oh my God, that's even worse.
That's a good one. One that I would have never thought of this one either. Struggled with eye contact.
Oh, I kind of do that too a little bit.
Sometimes I'm a little weird about it too. Anything that they would maybe ask about, you were kind of along the lines of like benefits and working.
Mental health days.
No.
Unlimited PTO.
No. More about their actual salary.
Oh, higher than what they...
Yeah, just asking for unreasonable compensation for being a brand new graduate with no experience.
Interesting.
Okay, and then the other one used inappropriate language. Can you imagine swearing in a job interview?
Well, I think they're using slang though. I'm sure they're saying
maybe.
like, Riz master instead of like
Does
a
my
mentor.
boss have a lot of Riz? I can't work for someone without Riz.
Yeah, right.
Okay, the 6th one that you will never guess, and Lord, this popped up initially on Instagram. It's this little chart. I had to Google the name of the study because I then thought it was manipulated to be funny, but it's legit. I Googled it. It's been written about. 19% of recent college graduates brought a parent to their interview.
I heard this. I can't believe it. Why? What is the problem?
I'm unclear, but I was laughing. The comments under it, someone's like, "Yeah, she's my negotiator."
Oh my
I was like,
God.
"That's perfect." I know my mom would be a much better negotiator than I would.
That is shocking.
I mean, instant disqualification, right? You bring your parent to an interview. I'm sorry. I don't even care if the rest of it went so well. I would be like, the fact you thought as a 22-year-old, we'll say, that you needed your parent here.
Yeah.
Shows a lack of judgment.
My husband's currently mentoring an intern.
Oh, yes. Yes, I've heard
And
some
has
stories.
had some weirdness with that person. It's his first job ever, so normal things of like, how long do I have to work during the day? Do I have to work at nights or on weekends? It's not always clear to this kid that he has to accept a meeting,
Oh, right.
versus
okay.
just have it appear on his calendar.
You have to actually join.
Right. Join the meeting,
Said
accept
meeting.
it. So I get it, but I also really blame the parents that my parents, when I was walking into my first job, they coached me on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Of what to do, how to be, etc. And that is where I think This Gen Z parents, I don't know what they're doing or saying, but we're lacking.
Okay. Is it a paid internship?
Yes.
Okay. So even more reason that this kid needs to step it up. Oh, yeah. I need updates from Kunal on how this guy's doing.
Anyway, yeah, I can't wait for Gen Z to come into corporate America. I've said this before because I just think they're going to look so bad compared to the rest of us.
Where the millennials are going to look like superstars.
Yes. I'm just waiting for that moment where I'm like, yep, aren't you happier with me now that you have that Gen Z person working? Yeah. That's so funny, Jessica. Should we go into conspiracy theories?
Yes.
Okay. So I actually have two. I have a third one, but it's not well vetted, so I'm just going to leave it off.
Well, isn't that the point of conspiracy theories?
I like to at least see 2 Instagram posts before I decide it's well vetted. Okay, so conspiracy theory number 1 is that Kylie Jenner is bankrupt. Have you heard this?
No.
Yes. So I got this mostly from a post, I think it's a podcast called Knits and Culture. Anyway, so this guy was saying, basically, this has been going on for a while. Now, it started because she put her house on the market.
Oh, okay.
But he linked a lot of different themes going on. So first of all, she's recently launched 3 different businesses. She launched a fragrance, which no one's buying. She launched a alcoholic vodka seltzer.
Oh, didn't even know.
Called Sprinter. It's not really performing well. And then she also launched this like leather outfit, and I don't know if it's one size fits all or if it's like this leather thing is supposed to give you all these different looks. I think the leather thing was called Kai, and everyone hated it.
Okay.
Which is not the first piece of clothing she's launched that really has not done well. I don't think her swimwear situation really did well.
Okay.
So this guy was saying basically, a Kardashian is not doing very well when they launch a variety of businesses all at once. Okay. So if you remember back in the day, Kim actually, she's now made her, stake with Skims.
Yes.
But back in the day, she had a mobile app. She had a credit card. She had KKW makeup, which we don't hear about anymore. No. She had Dash, right? So his theory was if you're a Kardashian, you basically throw a lot of different kind of businesses up against the wall.
And just see what sticks.
And then you ride the thing that sticks. So currently Kylie's doing that. Kylie's lip stuff, of course, was that business, but I think it's not doing as well recently. Okay. We also, I don't follow her, actively, but I don't think we're seeing as much, influencers, etc., talking about the lip kits. Anyway, so that's kind of point 1. Point 2 is that she also has this house on the market that she's been trying to sell for a while. And it's her and Travis Scott's house. They bought it together. She purchased it for $14.4 million. She tried to list it for $21.9. She's now cut it back to $18. Okay. So price is falling on it. Yeah. It's not selling. Yeah. Which he kind of said.
Not a ton of buyers out there in that price range.
No. But, and he kind of said that that's another point of evidence of why she's potentially broke.
I know, but that family moves and redoes houses like so many times.
Right.
They love like the reno, which is, I guess if you can afford it and it's totally out of your hands and then you just get the beautiful finished product. But I can't believe that they all love doing that.
Right. Anyway, so, and then there's this also question of like, well, it could be that she's not broke, it's more that she can't afford her lifestyle. So there's this whole thing, especially with the Kardashians, keeping up with the Kardashians, right? That they have to constantly be on the cusp of like the most lavish lifestyle you could possibly want. Kylie's no exception, but she's just had less years in the game. She's just like a little younger. So there's also this theory that's just she's trying to get liquid again, right? She's trying to make some moolah.
If she sells her private jet, we'll know something's up.
Yeah, right. Canary in the coal mine on like she's broke.
No, I have not heard this, but now that you've said it, I'm going to start seeing all these things out there that are leading me to believe that.
I think it's interesting. It's a light conspiracy theory. Who really cares if Kylie goes broke? We don't. That family's got so much money. They'll catch her and put her on something.
Exactly. And, if anyone's broke, it's Rob.
Right, or Scott. Poor Scott. Okay, conspiracy theory number 2 is a little bit weirder. It's called the toothpaste tube theory. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay, so on your toothpaste tube, there's always a square of color, like at the bottom, like ridge of the toothpaste. Okay. So you go home tonight, look at it.
Yeah, now I'm like,
And
wait.
the square is all these different colors, but it's the same brand. So Colgate, will have like all these different squares on the back of the tube.
Okay, even if it's the exact same kind.
Yes.
It's
yes.
Colgate whitening. And
yes.
Okay.
And there are all these squares. And so there's apparently a code associated with the colors. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, you know what the code is, which the code is this. If it's a green square, it's natural in the tube.
Oh, okay.
If it's a black square, if it's a blue square, it's medicine. There's medicine included in the tube.
Okay.
If it's a red square, it's natural but filled with chemicals. And if it's black, it's completely chemicals. Okay. So if you're a conspiracy theorist and you follow the code, you never buy the black or the red. Okay. And then probably not even the blue square.
Just go green.
Now, I looked at my toothpaste tube, and there was no square. So already I'm debunking this.
I'm assuming you saw pictures where they're showing you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a thing. It is a thing.
Okay.
Just on my generic, non-branded toothpaste, there was no square. But anyway, so that's the second conspiracy theory. Now, I've seen this very, very lightly. It's more just like in passing, less rooted in any sort of experience or somebody had a reaction to the red because they were using the red or the black. But, just stick to the green and the blue, I would say, with the toothpaste.
And are they saying that the squares are the truth? Like, wouldn't you be able to just look at the ingredients list and see if there's those crazy chemicals in it?
Right, but the fact is, if it's the same brand, the same type in the same brand, that they wouldn't be openly telling you that there's chemicals because it shouldn't be differing across each tube.
But they're like, whoops, we put a little chemical in that one. Put the black square.
Dash of a chemi in there. Let's get out the black.
Okay, I will report back to you when I look at my toothpaste when I get home.
Oh man! So that's number 2.
Okay.
A little more, I would say, unvalidated for sure.
Yes. All right.
So don't go talking about that one with
If anyone works at Procter and Gamble and can report back,
let us know. Anyway, that's it. So for upcoming episodes.
Oh my God, what are we going to talk about? We still have Summer House. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a part 3? We don't know. They love to keep it mysterious. We at least know a part 2.
It's part 2. And then I guess we should start looking at Dubai.
Yeah. I've been watching, so.
And Below Deck.
Yeah. Below Deck Med.
Anyway, good talking to you, Jess.
You too, Lauren.
All right. Have a good day.